Well, welcome to our Module 2 live session. It is 6:30 Central Standard Time, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I realize people might be still coming in, but I want to make sure to respect everyone's time. It looks like Alexis is on, and so as we get started, Alexis, can you hear me okay? Perfect, and you can see the PowerPoint okay? All right, perfect. So you can unmute at any time if you want to participate. Alexis, it looks like it's just me and you right now, but feel free to either use the chat box like you have been, or you can talk, whatever you're most comfortable with. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. So tonight's agenda in this live session, we'll be having introductions, live classroom expectations, important reminders, check-in, week 1 takeaways, field experience reports, the planning cycle, observation recording methods, writing learning objectives, and the comprehensive lesson planning. And then you'll have time for question and answers. So, looks like it's just me and you right now, Alexis. Just briefly introduce yourself, say where you're from, type of program that you're in, and if time and money were no object, where would you like to travel?
Oh, is that you from Sticky Bob's? Yes. Oh, yeah.
Hi, Renee.
Hi.
So thank you for attending the live session. Kind of went over the agenda a little bit. If you don't mind muting your microphone and then just unmute it at any time that you want to talk, that would be great.
Yeah, I can do that.
Perfect. So right now we're just basically saying who we are, where we're from, and if time and money was no object, where would you like to travel? I'll start off. As most of you guys know, my name is Mike, and I currently reside in the beautiful state of Colorado. I have a master's degree in early childhood education and work as an administrator for a Head Start program here. If time and money was no object, I would love to travel to Brazil. My mom is from Brazil, and she talked about how beautiful the country is over there, and I would just especially love visiting the gorgeous beaches because I heard that the beaches are great there. So that's a little bit about me. So go ahead and share where you're from, type of degree, and where you would like to travel.
Okay, I'll go. My name's Alexis. I'm from Minnesota. Right now, I am trying to get my associate's degree in education, but I eventually want to go for a bachelor's, so then I can hopefully become my own lead teacher in a preschool. My favorite place to travel, if money was no object, would probably be Ireland. My family actually has a castle there. I don't know if it's actually real, but that's the family saying. So I would love to go see if it's actually real. So yeah, I would just travel there.
That's awesome. Alexis, where are you from in Minnesota?
Shoreview, Minnesota. So like 30 minutes, 20 minutes north of the cities.
Oh, okay. I'm from actually North Dakota. I was born and raised on a farm near Grand Forks, North Dakota, if you know where that is.
Oh, yep. Yep.
Yep, so small world.
Yes.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Renee. I am from Wisconsin. I actually work at a daycare through a school. It's called Trevor Wilmot, but it's also known as Choo Choo Childcare. My favorite place to go traveling, I would like to go camping a lot in like warm states. We actually just went to Vegas not that long ago, and I absolutely loved it out there. So I plan on hopefully going to more warm states.
Warm states, huh? So
Yeah.
you're saying Wisconsin's cold?
Yeah, it definitely was a game changer when I went to Vegas and then coming back from Wisconsin. It was just very, very cold.
Yeah, the desert's pretty dry. Here in Colorado, it's actually pretty dry too. It's kind of desertish
I heard
as
it's really
well.
nice there, though.
It is. It's nice, but I mean, in the summer it gets scorching hot, and sometimes it doesn't rain for days.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, Renee, and thank you for participating in our live session, ladies. Since it's just us two right now, we'll probably go over the live session a lot quicker than anticipated, but feel free to ask any questions if you don't understand something. And for some odd reason, if I can't answer your questions, I will write it down and either email you an answer when I am done, because sometimes I don't have access. Right now I don't have access to the actual course since I am online, so I will make sure to do that if there is a question that I cannot answer. So moving forward, I just want to go over the live classroom session expectations. So this course will have 2 live classroom sessions that I will lead to expand on the current module topics. These sessions are offered in Module 2 and Module 5. The next live session will be Wednesday, June 6th at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. The main purpose for a live session is just to engage with your peers and myself in conversation about the course concepts to further your guys' learning. The interactive classroom sessions encourage open dialogue and questions are encouraged. For some reason, if you cannot attend the live session, the video will be posted the next day. Complete the live session quiz to answer the questions that I asked the class during the presentation in order to receive full credit. So Alexis and Renee, since you're here and you're going to participate, you will get full credit. So congratulations. It's probably the easiest points you will probably get. I do ask a lot of questions, so feel free to answer the best you can, and there's really no right or wrong answer. We all learn from each other, and that's just a little bit of how we get better with our teaching practices. So important reminders. So please make sure to look closely at the course calendar for due dates. I don't want to deduct any points for late assignments, but you guys probably know if you've taken a class with Rasmussen, the college policy is a 10% deduction for the day, any assignment that is late. It also applies to discussions as well. Assignments are due at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time every Sunday. Initial posts are due by 11:59 p.m. every Tuesday. Discussion responses to peers are due by 11:59 p.m. every Saturday. For full credit in discussions, please respond to at least one peer as well as any questions I ask you. I tend to ask questions usually just so I could expand your guys' knowledge and just get more of an understanding from you guys. You guys are encouraged to respond to more than one peer if you'd like, and the questions other peers ask you just so you could expand that learning. Refer to the course calendar for Module 6 assignments and discussions as they are a little different. Everything is due by the last day of class, which is Friday, June 15th. Does anyone have questions? All right, hearing and seeing that nobody has any questions, I am going to move on. So checking in, how is class going for you guys so far? Any takeaways from the first module? Are you guys able to navigate through the course? Seems like everybody understands the discussions, where the general course questions are. How about the resource tab? And have you guys had a chance to begin your field experience observations? And are there any barriers for completing this?
I'm able to navigate pretty well in the module, and I participate in the field experience observations all day. I mean, that's my job, is I'm in the classroom for my field experience site. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So you have it pretty easy then, Alexis Shaw.
Very easily, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yes. How about you, Renee?
I'm on the same with Alexis. I work 40 hours a week with kids, so I'm doing the same thing as she is, and I feel like I'm navigating pretty good through the course itself with finding assignments and when the due dates are and stuff like that. So it's going really good.
Perfect. Well, that is great to hear. Yeah, so that is awesome. So we're just going to jump into the field experience reports. So thanks for sharing. So the modules that you guys are looking at, each module field experience report will prompt you to focus on the key areas of practice. Make sure to examine it early in the module to ensure that you know what to focus on your upcoming field experiences. Then, and at the end of the module, you'll report how many field experience hours you completed along with a reflection on your experience. An overview of each module key area of practice is right here, right in front of you. It's pretty direct, pretty cut and dry. Does anybody have questions? All right, so I'm just going to move forward. We're going to talk a little bit about the planning cycle. So let's dig in a little bit. So the first part of the planning cycle is to identify the subject. Before planning curriculum, it's really important to identify for whom you're planning for. Consider the following reflection questions as you choose your subject. What do I know about the child's development progress, area of growth, home life, and interest? And what do I want the child to do or learn as a result in the lesson? So when you're identifying your subject, you want to make sure to have those questions in mind. It's important to have this information so you can set attainable outcomes for the child that you are observing as you develop your lesson plan. The next thing that you do is you plan. So now that you've identified the subject with some background information about the child's development progress, home life, and interests, you can begin planning. Planning should include aspects such as materials needed, step-by-step instructions, transition and support strategies, and environmental considerations. Writing out your plan is a good way to see how it will come together. And then the next one is implementation of your plan. So you want to implement your plan, and it will only be effective if the child is actively engaged with your plan. Free choice time during play-based learning is a good way for early childhood teachers to give opportunities for the child to investigate and discover new skills and understandings. And then after that, you want to observe. Being really aware and cognizant of while each activity unfolds, it is imperative of the rest of the cycle. So we ask the question as professionals, what is working, what is not working, what learning is taking place, and what do I know because of this now? During your observation time, you should be taking a lot of notes of your observations. There are different ways for taking observation notes depending on what you're looking for in the behavior of the child. And we will discuss a little bit about this later on tonight. And then after that, you want to adjust. So each lesson can always expand growth. As educators, we need to reflect on how we can continue to meet individual learning and development needs of the child. How can we adapt the lesson to ensure you accommodate diverse learners? And then finally, what are the next steps we can bridge the lesson authentically into the child's home and community? As we know, learning, the process doesn't end at school, and it's our job to inform the parents and guardians of these children what we are doing so we can share that information with parents at home. This also helps the child master the outcome when there is dual support, and it helps build the child's strength so they could scaffold their learning. Some of the things that I do when I was a teacher is I used to have a classroom website. That's kind of, it takes a little work to do, but it really helps parents know what you're actually covering in the classroom and giving them materials to make sure that those goals are met for their child. The next thing you want to do is assess. To complete the planning, we must reflect on the lesson effectiveness. First, were the learning outcomes met? How do we know? What does the child know now? What are the next steps in the child's development and learning goals? And then last but not least, we repeat. So what could have you changed so the lesson could have been more effective? Maybe you didn't gather much information about the child, like their interests or family lifestyle. So it's really important to get as much information as you can to meet the outcomes that are attainable for the child. Do you currently use the planning cycle as an ongoing process? And how do you think that will affect your teaching practices? If you're viewing this video recording, please answer these two questions when you submit the live section part of your assignment. So Alexis and Renee, what are your thoughts regarding the planning cycle? Do you guys currently use the planning cycle as an ongoing process? And how does it affect your teaching practices?
I personally don't, because I'm not a lead teacher. Because I don't have any degrees yet, I'm technically a volunteer as a tutor and stuff like that. But I am involved with the teachers somewhat of helping to plan ideas and stuff like that. Like if I found something cool that I want to do with the kids online, I say, hey, let's do this. And she'll figure out a way within our schedule to put it in and implement it. But with our kids, based off of like how we identify like, okay, who needs a little help here and who needs a little help there, she first starts with her observations, and then she thinks, okay, what are the multiple ways that I can help? If it doesn't help, when she does implement it, she thinks, okay, let me go to my other plan B type thing, and she just keeps going down the list. And if she can't help them, then she'll go to like a special education resource and see if they can give her some helpful ideas too. Well, she uses it, and it's really nice. I like it.
Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
And what's your thoughts around it, Renee?
I don't believe that our daycare does this. I'm actually just a lead teacher, not for the preschool. I'm the after school portion, so I do the elementary school. And that's kind of just more of like arts and crafts, helping them with homework, getting them outside if we can, going to the gym, stuff like that. I don't believe that they do that in the preschool room, but I'm not sure. I know that we do help kids who need more help than others to set them aside and help them out. I do help them do projects as well in there as much as I can, but I also have to worry about my after-school program. But I don't think we do the planning cycle from what I understand.
And, sometimes you don't even know if the teacher's actually doing it or not. Because I don't remember when I was at my very first teaching experience, trying to lesson plan, I was given a sheet and I really had no idea what I was doing. I kind of felt really stupid, but you know, you learn as you go, and especially in daycares, it's really, really tough to have a planning cycle because they're structured in a little bit different way than, say, opposed to like a Head Start or an actual preschool in a school setting. So it's a little bit different, but you know, from this course, this is something to take away is if you ever had to, you know, lesson plan, looking at doing these things. I know you guys are in the field right now with a child that you guys are observing and making sure that, you know, you're looking at these things to make sure that you're just more cognizant and aware of it. It's really, really difficult, especially if you haven't done it before. So yeah, it's do you think it will affect your teaching practices if you do implement this going forward?
I don't think so. I feel like it might actually make it better, but like I mean, I do lesson plan, but it's not to like a full extent. It's just for like the after school. So
and after
severe, like crazy, but it's just simple.
Yeah. And you're right. Aftercare is really, you know, the kids get out of school, then the last thing they want to do is anything that revolves around work or anything that's lesson based because they were in school all day, so they probably don't want to do that, and they probably do want to go outside or do what they want to do, video games or whatever they do, the gym, like you said. So I do understand that because I was a director of a before and after care program too as well, so I understand the children not wanting to do that. But also, we also make sure that as teachers that we have, we help them with their homework, so we're kind of collaborating with their teacher in their school too as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, were you going to say something?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You guys have any other thoughts around that? All right, so I'm going to move on. Thank you for sharing. So methods of recording and observation. So I talked a little bit about observation in the last slide. In chapter 2, there was a whole section devoted to methods of the recording observation, and there are several different observational methods. So in choosing a method, an observation, you first must determine what is it that you want to learn from the observation. So I wanted to break each recording method down so you have an understanding of what they are and what they're used for. So a running record forms and anecdotal form records are the most common forms of observation. You might not even hear of the last two, but that's the most common forms that are used in education, especially in early childhood education. And running records are basically detailed narrative account of behaviors or events written sequentially as an incident occurs. So it's basically just a play-by-play of behaviors and events as it's happening. And an anecdotal record is just like a short story that educators use to record a significant incident that they have observed. And that could be written down after the behavior has taken place. So it's not like a play-by-play action. It's more of a summary of what happened. So that's the two most common forms of observation. The other one is checklists. They're a more formal form of assessment that allows educators to notate the presence or absence of some criteria with no details of the event. So basically, even as you, Alexis, and Renee, Alexis, you work as a kind of like a volunteer, you said, and then Renee works at a before and after care. I'm sure you guys have some sort of checklists that you probably have seen or used in the classroom, just to make sure that things are set up. I mean, it could be even as simple as a sign out for a child. So that is basically that checklist. So there's also a developmental checklist, and they're assessment tools that list series of criteria to indicate the presence or absence of a specific behavior representative of children's development. So they're basically like, we talk about those learning standards that we talked about last module. We talked about the early learning standards or guidelines for what children should be learning at different milestones or at different ages. So that's basically what kind of that is. There's checklists that meet that criteria too. And then there's also a rating scale. I'm sure maybe some of you guys have heard of a rating scale. The checklist that has been modified to include various levels of quality. So in Colorado, our early childhood programs uses Colorado Shines as a rating scale. And basically it's just a rating scale that demonstrates the quality of an early learning program or center. So the higher the rating, the more money companies can charge to enroll their child into particular programs. It's not true with Head Start because we are income-based and low income, and we tend to meet the needs of those families. But some rating scales, like for-profit companies, use that, and they will use that for their benefit to make more of a profit, and that it. And they should if the quality is good. The last two are kind of go hand in hand. It's time sampling, which focuses on problem behaviors to see how often they occur. So you might see teachers do this one. An observer has a set time to observe the behavior and can check out how often the behavior occurs. So basically, little Johnny is at Legos and he always causes problems. We're trying to see how often it occurs during that period of time, during that Lego time. And then the other one is event sampling, which is usually a series of short observations to confirm a child's behavior. So instead of just viewing little Johnny at the Lego table for a short period of time, we try to confirm this sampling throughout the day. We want to confirm that behavior is happening at different times throughout the day. So that's the difference between time and event sampling. With that being said, which of the observational approaches and documentation methods do you think you will be most useful to you and your program right now, and why? And if you are viewing this on for the recording, please answer this question too as well.
I think the running record form would be best for record observations, just because it's everything that's happened in that event of what's going on. We actually kind of do something like that, but we like summarize it. So I feel like both of the records would work hand in hand either way. But I don't know. I feel like either one would work really well.
What do you use it for, Renee? Do you use it for?
We actually, 2 kids downstairs. We actually have notebooks that we keep, and we write down every event for anything, like any situation with like hitting or like just inappropriate stuff, just to verify and like let mom and dad know like what's going on in that situation, and just to cover ourselves up, just to make sure that it doesn't come back to fire, like, I don't know, come back to like bite us in the butt in the way. So I just feel like it's the best for us, because when we talk to the parents, they don't really care too much because we're a before and after program, so they kind of just like, whatever, it is what it is. But I mean, eventually, like, it's just not a good thing. So I mean, it's nice just to have that notebook to observe them and see what's going on, and having someone there constantly to observe the people who are having issues with that person and stuff like that. So that's why we have that notebook downstairs.
So Renee, with that being said, do you collaborate with the school teacher too as well? I know when I was working in a before and after care program, whenever we had like behavior incidents, we would collaborate to confirm that the behavior is still happening after school, and trying to come up and partner up with strategies to help that student.
Yeah, we've actually collaborated multiple times, but it's on separate terms. So like the school is actually separate from us. Like they don't see us as together as one. So when we do have the chance, it's usually the parent that's telling us, well, the school is doing this, and this is what they have him doing, and then we have us on the end that's kind of just like hanging there, don't really know what to do. So we're kind of trying to figure out as much as we can and collaborate through other teachers. We didn't have a sit-down meeting with like the teachers itself to figure out the situation, which kind of sucks, but we're trying our best to figure out everything, what we have from what the mom told us about, and then also his main teacher from what they do. So I mean, it's just both of them combined together. I mean, it helps in somewhat a way.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
For me, my observational approach is like running record. I'm a list girl. I do everything in like a to-do list. So for me, taking notes in a bullet point list is much faster for me and easier. That way I can do them right away, and it's not like if I do a summary afterwards, which would be like an anecdotal record, it would kind of be like an after the fact for me, and I would feel like sometimes I might not get everything said of what actually happens, like I might forget something. For us, I haven't personally been able to use one, just again because I'm a tutor, I'm not an actual teacher, but I have seen our special education teacher using a lot of running record combined with time sampling. For one specific child, like she'll write 11:09, this child asked to run in the hallways. We ran in the hallways. At 12:10, this child hit another child. At 1:15, he sat down and read a book during story time. And I've seen her combine the two, and I really, really like that idea, because that way you can see if it comes up multiple times again. You have the time of the day. For him, it personally boils down to this. It's just his behaviors start getting more physical towards the end of the day type thing. Whereas at the morning, it's just a defiant. So I like both.
Well, thank you for sharing, Alexis. Yeah, you're exactly right. Sometimes time sampling and running records do, and even event sampling do go hand in hand. I lost train of thought. Oh my goodness. I was going to ask you a question about, well, good observation, figuring out the methods of observation that you just seen, so from another teacher. So yeah, thank you for sharing. Is there anything you guys else wanted to add? All right, so I'm going to move on. So that's a little bit about the methods of recording of observation. There are a lot of different types of methods. So I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. So thank you for sharing. So I'm going to move on to writing learning objectives using SMART goals. In one of this week's assignments, you were to come up with a comprehensive lesson plan where all learning objectives must be stated as SMART goals objectives. So what are the SMART goal objectives and how do we include this in our comprehensive assignment? I just wanted to review kind of what they mean, the term and the characteristics of the SMART goals. So when writing SMART goals, they need to be specific. So goals meet the needs of the children while upholding program and early learning standards. Do you know exactly what you want to accomplish with all the details? And goals must be well defined. And measurable is pretty easy. We asked the question, how will you know the goal is met? Will you use informal or a formal assessment to gather the data, and what does that look like? And the next one is attainable. So, you want to consider development appropriate practices. The individual child and typical development, is your goal a challenge but still possible to achieve? Basically, you don't really want a child or an infant trying to write with markers because that's not appropriate. So that's kind of what that focuses on. And realistic, consider DAP, but also consider that the child in the individual typical development, we want to look at benchmarks for your state or early learning standards that we talked about in last week's module. And for Head Start, they use something a little bit different. It's the Head Start Early Learning Outcome Framework for children, which focuses on different developmental milestones for different ages for kids from 0 to 5. Is your goal realistic within the children's reach? You want to make sure, again, that you're not going to set them up to fail, but want to make sure that it's realistic for the child to accomplish that goal. And the next one is timely. When will this goal be reached? Consider a timeline. Will it be reached tomorrow, a week, a month, a semester, next year? Want to always make sure to have that in the back of your mind too. So with the example comprehensive lesson plan, I wanted to show this to you. So I did one, and it's a little bit crowded. This is the one of my daughter. I have a 2-year-old, and one of the things that I'm trying to do is have a mealtime routine with her because she does not like to sit at the table. But some of the things when you're looking at your comprehensive lesson plan is to make sure that you include those SMART goals. So basically on the lesson plan objectives and goals I have for her, and I'm pretty specific when I'm doing this, I say uses hand-eye coordination when participating in routines such as carrying food, eating with silverware, drinking out of a cup, pouring liquid into a cup, and eating with fingers. And basically, I'm trying to use, if you take a look at the enriched area of focus, I'm looking at fine motor skills and making sure that we're providing her the skills and the opportunities to have Annika use the fork, spoons, eating with different fingers, smelling and touching different foods, pouring water into a cup, and so on. It also helps her hand and eye coordination. So I want, just making sure that matches with that in that sense. And the next one, I use a word, and I'm always starting with a verb, something of doing. So uses, identifies. So this one is identifies different food and correlation to shapes, colors, and quantity during mealtime. And basically what I'm doing here is I am identifying different foods, help giving her opportunities to identify different foods by their shape and color. Example, an apple is red and it looks like a circle. And just making sure that she is recognizing things in her world and making sense of those objectives. The next thing is speaks information in meaning of words by asking questions in words or signs such as what's that, who's that, why, or what happened at mealtime. So basically it's just having the conversation and trying to promote a higher level of thinking. So she asks those questions. What I do usually is, I don't have it here, but in the classroom we use visuals of daily schedules, and that's something I'm trying to get her to do, but she doesn't like doing it. So we want to eat at the table, and we want to make sure that we have read a book about what's proper table manners, and then like I said, the scaffolding the child's learning. The next one is kind of goes social emotional, engages in positive interactions such as thank you, please, excuse me, more, no thank you, and you're welcome in a wide variety of situations with adults. So basically we want Annika to use positive manners such as please and thank you. And then we try to model it ourselves so that it's appropriate, and hopefully that she could pick up on that and communicate that, and maybe just take back and forth exchanges by saying this is what we say at the table, and kind of a step-by-step play-by-play of what she needs and what she needs to say. The very next, the last thing is demonstrates awareness of own thoughts, feelings, and preferences. So after trying new foods, Annika will have an awareness about how she feels about a certain food. So if she tried a food that was sour, she might show a yuck emotion. Or if it's pizza, because every kid likes pizza, she might be happy. So, and vegetables, not saying vegetables make a child sad, but if the child has to eat their vegetables, it might make them sad. So that's kind of how I envisioned a lesson plan, a comprehensive lesson plan. You guys could do it in your own way. So that's a little bit about that. Do you guys have any questions regarding your lesson plan? All right, if I hear and I don't see anybody asking questions. So I just wanted to give you guys a little overview of what that looks like and what it should look like. Now, the fun time is, do you guys have any questions for me that I could answer about this session?
I actually have a question about the other assignment. So for the observations, like I said earlier, I'm a bullet point person. Would you like us to do it in, if we do a running record observation, do you want it to be is it okay to be in bullet point formation when it's typed up and stuff like that?
I guess I don't have that assignment, like the rubric right by me, but look at the rubric and see what it says. If it says it could be in bullet points, then you can go ahead and do it. But if it, refer to the rubric doesn't say either or, then you go ahead and do bullet points and you'll get credit for it. Did I answer your question? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I thought the mic was on, but it wasn't. Yeah, you did. Thank you.
Okay, good. You guys have any other questions? Yeah, when in doubt, just look at the rubric and make sure that you're matching everything that you need to. That's the easiest way to earn full points. If you guys don't have any other questions, or and if you do guys have questions or that come up, please email me on course messages. You could call me, you could text me. I don't care how you want to communicate, whatever works best for you. I usually get back to you quicker with text. So if you ever have questions that come up, feel free to ask. I'm always here. I want you guys to learn as much as you can in this short time that we have. And that's all I have for tonight. And if you guys don't have any questions, we will end our live session. Renee, Alexis, do you guys have anything?
No, I'm good.
All right. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.